Hey everyone, it's Ryan Leonard with Wolfnest Property Management. Today we're going to be talking about some tips for handling problems at your rental property. So no matter how much you plan or how strong your lease agreement or how great the property is, problems are going to happen. That's bottom line. That's really what you're doing as a landlord or a property manager, is just fixing problems. Whether it's a maintenance request or a nuisance issue or a complaint from a neighbor, problems are always going to arise. Now, the biggest takeaway or the thing that I always advocate the most for is just following up quickly, or responding quickly to issues. Don't just let them fester. So let's take a look at some of the things. So kind of going back to it, respond immediately. A lot of DIY landlords or even some bad property managers will just hope that an issue or a problem will go away by not addressing it. Kind of close your eyes and say there is no problem and eventually it'll just go away. That's not the case. If something does happen, make sure that you're not ignoring it and you're being proactive. Respond, even if you don't have the answer right at that time. Respond to the neighbor or to the tenant that, hey, I don't know the answer to this, but just know that I'm working on it and I'll follow up with you. But following up with no information is better than not following up until you have information. That's kind of a good rule of thumb. Also, understanding the expectations, making sure that you say that when you fix the problem, that the other party knows what that means. Now, if a tenant puts in a maintenance request and says, I don't have any hot water, when are you fixing this? And I'll have it, fixed tomorrow, or I'll have someone there later today. In their mind, they may think that having someone later there today was going to mean the water is going to be working by later today. But it may be a tech coming to quote out a bid or looking for the right parts, and then they're going to go to the store and then come back, and it will be fixed a little bit later. So just having clear expectations, both on the owner end and tenant end, are crucial to making sure that everyone is happy. Next one is communicate effectively. This is very hard when it's your property, when you have an issue with the tenant or they've caused damage. Having a calm demeanor is really going to help diffuse what could be a very hostile or intense situation. So, kind of taking your heartstrings out of it, which I know is hard to do, especially if you lived in that home and your kids were raised there and now it's an investment property and the tenant's not taking care of it. Treat it like you're in business. I think that's a good rule of thumb, is, kind of taking the emotional part out of it. Treating it like a business is the best way to communicate effectively. And if you're really hot at the moment, don't engage or don't respond to a text or an email or a phone call when you're upset. Take some time to cool down so that you can respond in a calm way. Also, just be professional. This kind of goes back to how would you handle this type of situation if you're in the business setting? If you're at work, obviously you wouldn't respond to something as aggressively as if you were, at home or in, the street or someone that you don't know. Same thing with your rental property. This is a business. Technically, a revenue generating business is your rental property. So you should treat your tenants like you're the boss or they're a coworker, because again, trying to minimize or de-escalate a situation is a better way to get something done. And also ask for help. Whether you're dealing with a noise complaint or a city inspector, or for a deficient condition request from a tenant, or the neighbors are upset, and you don't know the answer to something, feel free to reach out to a professional property manager. Even if you're not a client and you have questions about an issue that you have with your tenant or with a neighbor or with the city inspector, give us a call. Even if you're not a client, I'd be happy to discuss, what we could do to help you, or maybe some steps that you should take to, get through the situation. So here's all my contact information. Shoot me an email, give me a call. I'd be happy to discuss your situation and see if we could be a good fit for you down the road. So that's Ryan with Wolfnest, and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.